In this video, I'm going to help you become a National Geographic Explorer. And to do that, I'm going to share lessons that I've learned from getting a grant from the National Geographic Society myself, exchanging notes with other NatGeo explorers, years of attending the National Geographic Storyteller Summit, and even consulting NatGeo staff specifically for this video. I'm going to go over what a National Geographic Explorer grant is, who it's right for, the new way to apply, what will make your application stand out, how you're most likely to screw it up, and lastly, I'll share what I've found to be the biggest value of being an explorer. Hey everyone, my name is Austin Meyer, and I'm not only a National Geographic Explorer, but I am a documentary filmmaker who has worked on productions for HBO, Hulu, the New York Times, and more. And on this channel, I share the field-tested skills, mindsets, and lessons that have helped me on my journey as a documentary filmmaker. Last year, I put out a video about the Explorer grant, and I covered a lot of ground. However, since that video came out, NatGeo has made some big updates to their grant programs. Today, I want to go over what those changes are to make sure that you know where to go, how to apply, and how to be competitive in the application process. To understand what this grant is, I think it's important to understand how National Geographic functions as a business. So you can think of National Geographic as having two arms, a nonprofit arm called National Geographic Society, and then a for-profit arm that runs through Disney. Here is how my contact at National Geographic put it. As an independent nonprofit organization, National Geographic Society is focused on mission-driven work, including explorer-led programs, education, and philanthropic activities. Disney carries out several consumer-facing businesses using the National Geographic brand under license from the Society. This includes the National Geographic magazines, channels, books, and consumer products, as well as the National Geographic Expeditions travel business. Each year, a portion of those funds are distributed to the Society to support its mission to protect and illuminate the wonder of our world. Now, the grant that we are talking about today is money given out by the National Geographic Society. It's important to understand this. It's very easy to think that if you apply and receive a NatGeo grant for a documentary film, then you're in a great position to have that film debut on NatGeo channel. Or if you get a photography grant, to think that you just got the green light from the magazine. That is not the case. Is it possible that your project could end up there? Yes, it's possible. Is it likely? No. There's a clear separation at NatGeo between the Society and the consumer-facing businesses that you're likely to be aware of through Disney. Each has its own processes, systems, and staff. Okay, back to the grants. There are two levels of grants awarded through request for proposals. Level 1 grants go up to $20,000 and the projects can't be longer than 1 year. Level 2 grants are typically upwards of $100,000. Funding is available to individuals working on projects in science, conservation, storytelling, education, and technology that align with one of the Society's 6 areas of focus, that being ocean, land, wildlife, human histories and cultures, planetary health, or space. People can apply to a level 2 grant if they have not yet received a level 1 grant, but people who have already received a level 1 grant cannot apply for another level 1 grant. All right, so who should apply for the storytelling grant? Well, to start, I will tell you why I applied. I applied to my first NatGeo grant in 2016. I had recently graduated from Stanford's journalism school, done a video journalism internship at the LA Times, a reporting fellowship with the New York Times, and I was looking for my next step. By then, I knew that I didn't want to work in a newsroom, and I was starting to think that maybe this whole documentary filmmaking thing would be the direction that I wanted to take my career. However, I didn't want to test that hypothesis just doing endless production assistant jobs. I wanted to test it by jumping into the deep end on a long-form documentary project where I got to do everything from directing to filming to editing. And I knew that if I could get a relatively no strings attached grant, I could get the financial and editorial support to try something ambitious. Additionally, I could leverage the NatGeo brand as an early career resume booster and immediately enter a community of talented, like-minded storytellers who shared my passion for the craft. So in 2016, I went for it. Building off the reporting I had done for the New York Times on malnutrition and maternal health in India, alongside the Pulitzer Prize winning columnist Nicholas Kristof, I applied to the NatGeo grant to create a short documentary on maternal and infant healthcare in Zambia. Story which ended up being published on National Geographic's YouTube channel with Vox Media and the UNFPA, which is the Sexual and Reproductive Health Wing of the United Nations, followed one woman's pregnancy and delivery in a region with some of the highest rates of infant and maternal mortality in the world. I applied once, I got rejected. I applied a second time, I got rejected. And then on my third attempt, I heard this news. Today I got some very exciting news to share with you, but first I'm going to need a drum roll. I am a National Geographic Explorer. And a couple months later, I landed in Zambia. Now I'm here. This is insane. So if you're like I was, early in your career, but with enough of a portfolio to showcase that you have potential, if you're ambitious, if you're down to take creative risks, if having NatGeo on your resume would be a big boost, if you want to be a part of a community of like-minded storytellers, if you have a passion to tell a particular story, if you align with National Geographic's brand, this could be for you. Now, all that being said, I think this grant could be a fantastic option no matter where you are in your career. The sad truth is that there are very few organizations that offer grants to tell stories about our natural world. So if your work aligns with the mission of National Geographic Society, and if you have a project that fits with one of their proposal requests, this could be a good fit, no matter where you are in your career. Now, before we talk about how to apply for a grant in 2025 and 2026, please hit that subscribe button if you are interested in getting more videos about the craft of documentary filmmaking and opportunities associated with it. All right, so how should you apply? Well, if you watched my video from last year, this is where there are some big updates. In the past, the Explorer grant accepted applications on all kinds of stories. As long as they fit into their areas of focus, you could pitch anything at pretty much any time. That has changed. The National Geographic Society now uses an RFP model where they request proposals for specific stories and themes. Let me walk you through how to access these requests for proposals, starting with the website that is pinned in the comments. That's going to be your go-to website for all things Explorer Grant, including any future updates that they might have on this whole process. Once you arrive here, what you're going to do is you are going to scroll down past some of this information that we've already covered in the video, down to current funding opportunities. Now, right now, at the moment that I'm recording this video in July of 2025, there is only one funding opportunity available. Now, when you come down here, you need to check to make sure whether or not this is a storytelling funding opportunity, because all the grantees who could be applying in storytelling, conservation work, technology, all their funding opportunities are going to be in the same place. So right here, building resilience in agriculture, request for proposals. This is going to support innovative projects that apply science and innovation in a real world context. Doesn't sound like it's a storytelling grant to me. You'll click in to learn more, and it becomes pretty quick when you start to read this one. This is not a storytelling grant. This is also a grant that's only awarded to level 2 grants. So you're going to just click in and figure out what are these requests for the proposals, who are they looking for, in which sector of their granting system. This one is not a storytelling one. One that has been on their website for a lot of this year, which was recently taken off last month because the deadline passed, was this request for proposals for a theme called The Big Questions. Now, this one you'll see as you just dig in is clearly for storytellers. The drive to better understand the mysteries of our world has invited storytellers to illuminate groundbreaking knowledge and the world's wonders and brought us closer together. You scroll down and you see that they are looking for storytellers. They are looking for innovative photography, short film writing, data visualization, and other storytelling proposals to help people consider some of the greatest questions of our time. So then, once you read through the brief, start thinking through ideas. What stories might you have percolating? What ideas that fit into the request for a proposal? Now, if you want to be strategic about your applications, don't wait till you see the absolute perfect fit between a request for proposal and the story idea that you have. To some extent, see if you can read the brief for the proposal request and then tailor your story idea to that. Because as I'll say in this video numerous times, these grants are competitive and you'll likely have to go through the cycle 1, 2, 3, 4 times before you might have success. So at some point it does become a numbers game. So just start getting your name in there and start practicing doing these grant applications and seeing how you can mold the current story idea you have into the request that they have for proposals. So make sure to look on this page to see what requests they have throughout the year. I would go there, every month or two. What's coming up? Do they have any new ones? Anything that's, could be a good fit for you. And then as you'll see here, this one opened in February and then the deadline was in June. So if you keep regularly checking this website, then when a proposal request pops up, even if you don't have a great story that could be molded into that specific request, at least you then have months and months to keep an eye out for stories or to go specifically looking for stories that do fit that. So that's why it's a good idea to keep looking at this website and then digging in to see what they're looking for on any specific proposals. Once you find one that you like, you'll scroll down, you'll apply and on this button right here, and then that will take you to the full application form. Okay, so that's where to apply. Now, how can you stand out from the crowd? Here are what I would consider 6 keys to success. The first is story, not topic. A lot of people who pitch stories or apply to grants don't actually pitch a story. They pitch a topic. A topic is what the story is about. A story is why it's interesting. A topic can be boiled down to a single declarative sentence of mostly nouns. A story has characters, conflict, and timeliness. Looking back at my pitch, the topic was maternal health in Zambia. The story was about 34-year-old Grace Chibilika, a mother of 4 living in a rural Zambian village, as she sets out to have her first successful delivery in a clinic, in a region with some of the highest rates of infant and maternal mortality in the world. In that example, we move from this huge topic to a specific story, which has a character in Grace, timeliness in the length of a pregnancy through delivery, and conflict in the form of the regional mortality rates and her first birth not at home. So in your application, stand out by pitching a story, not a topic. Okay, the second key is to assume a beginner's mind. You have to assume that the person reviewing your application knows nothing about the topic you are pitching. When we are so close to the stories that we pitch, it's easy to take our knowledge for granted. So don't forget to step back and explain things, especially when it comes to stakes. Don't ever assume that the reviewer cares as much as you do. In fact, assume that they don't care at all. Illustrate why this is so important starting from first principles. Third, be specific about what you will produce. When you apply for a grant like this, you can say, quote, I'm going to create a documentary film. But that could mean so many things. A feature length, a 10-minute short. Even if you're not sure how everything will pan out, set expectations about the specific form your project will take. While making this video, I reached out to the society about whether or not filmmakers should specify their intended film length in their application. They responded, quote, yes, they should specify length. With few exceptions, most funding opportunities only cover short films. This is in line with the fourth key to success: don't promise too much. This is one of the areas I struggled with when I was first applying for grants. I was so eager to get a grant and willing to work so hard while out in the field that I just promised everything. I think in my first NatGeo application, I pitched that I would do, go to multiple countries, write articles, create a documentary film, create a photo book, post regularly on social media, and anything else that I could think of. Because I figured, well, hey, this is going to impress them. Well, it actually did the opposite. It actually made me appear less professional. Like I didn't know how much work any one of these mediums would take if I were going to do them at a high level. Thankfully, I was given this feedback, and on my third application, I focused on just creating a 20-minute documentary film. And that is what I produced. So when you're applying, think about feasibility and think about your expertise. Grant makers want you to focus on what you do really well and only doing what is feasible within the scope of the grant where you can still pay yourself a day rate. So don't promise the world. Promise a focused project that you are uniquely able to do really well. The fifth key is to help viewers visualize. All of these tips amount to this message. When grant reviewers read your application, they should be able to visualize exactly what they're investing in. They should be able to see your story in their mind. That's why you should lean into specifics, even if you aren't sure exactly how things will pan out. You can always change course when you're in the field, and as the documentary changes in real time, that's going to happen. But you should still have a plan at the outset and a story that is so specific that reviewers can't help but visualize the movie in their head as they read your application. The sixth key is to ensure a safe investment. With any of these early career grants, you need to do everything you can to make reviewers feel like they will get a return on their investment. They likely don't know who you are or what you're capable of. Assume that they think you'll just run off with their money. So in your application, prove why you are a safe bet. This was a big focus of my application. I was applying as a white man from America to go create a documentary film on maternal health care in rural Africa. Why would that be a safe bet? Well, I had to make the case. So alongside my documentary portfolio, I submitted my New York Times reporting on maternal health. I also submitted letters of recommendation from a Pulitzer Prize winner who covers that topic all the time. Then I also spent months building partnerships with health organizations in Zambia who work on maternal health issues. And in the end, I don't know how big of an impact this had, but I submitted 9 letters of support from these organizations, including one from the Secretary of Zambia's Ministry of Health. All of this because I wanted to assure the reviewers that I was going to accomplish what I said I was going to accomplish. I have the ability, I have the access, I have the support on the ground. You will get a return on your investment if you give me money. And thankfully, they did. Okay, so once you apply, what should your expectations be? Well, these grants are competitive. If you're like me, you should expect to be rejected on your first attempt. It took me 3 application cycles to finally get the thumbs up. Please don't let rejection kill your motivation and desire to tell important stories. If you get rejected, use it as fuel. Find a way to make your project happen and make it so good that National Geographic sees it and thinks to themselves, damn, I really wish we would have supported that project. If you do receive the grant, congratulations, you are now a National Geographic Explorer. You will be given a point person at the society to communicate with. You will have money wired into your account, and you will be off to create your story. When you're working out in the field on your project, plan to be self-sufficient. There are hundreds of National Geographic explorers and storytellers. However, only a few staff members at the society to communicate and manage all of them. So this grant is not right for you if you need a lot of hand-holding or institutional support while you're in the field. Once you finish your project, there is no guarantee that it will be published on any NatGeo platforms. After each grant project is done, the society sends over a brief of sorts to folks on the Disney side of the organization that explains what the project was and shows some selects from that project. Then the folks at the magazine, the website, the video channels, they have an exclusivity window to decide whether or not they want to publish it. It is pretty rare that they pick up projects, and even more rare if you're a filmmaker because, well, NatGeo is really a photography-led print and digital publication. So the best you can really hope for if you're a documentary filmmaker is to get your project published on NatGeo's YouTube channel. In the case of my project, NatGeo passed on their first rights to publish it. So from there, I went to pitch and publish with Vox Media and the United Nations Population Fund. And then a couple years later, I went back to NatGeo's YouTube team with the story and they agreed to publish. Oh, and P.S., NatGeo's YouTube channel is purely for distribution. I didn't receive any additional money to license the film for publication there. And that brings us to, what is the biggest value of the NatGeo grant? I don't think it's money. I don't think it is the slight leg up you have distributing your work with one of the Disney-owned channels. I think the biggest value is the brand association and access to community. As an early career freelancer, it can be difficult to stand out and it can be difficult to find like-minded collaborators. Getting this grant immediately gives you the title of National Geographic Explorer. And if you're an independent filmmaker, being able to leverage a global brand like NatGeo can really help you stand out from the crowd. On top of the brand association, the access to a community of fellow grantees and freelancers is also a massive value. Attending events like the National Geographic Storyteller Summit or Explorers Festival is a rare opportunity to meet and connect with extremely talented and passionate storytellers who can become lifelong friends and collaborators. And this is why, even though you're really on your own after you receive your grant, if you want to make a career in this space, I encourage you to take a shot at this opportunity, because the NatGeo brand and the friendships that you'll make from entering this community have no timeline or monetary limit. They can stay with you forever. All right, that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful and that it gave you some valuable insights, not only into the NatGeo grant, but grants beyond that too. If you're thinking about applying, just go for it. Don't reject yourself. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, go out and tell some stories.